Hi, it's Steve from Coastline Garden Gallery again. We're going to talk today about trimming down perennials. It is the end of October. It's time to get things cleaned up a little bit. There's different ways of looking at this. Some people, I know in my own garden at home, I leave a lot of my perennials up just because I'm out in the country and I'm windswept and all the perennials, the debris that's standing up catches the snow. It gives more insulation. But there is still some things you can do to clean up a little bit. Now, I'm going to talk to you here about right now this butterfly bush. Now, I know it's called a bush, but it's actually a woody perennial. Now, usually what you do, you cut a butterfly bush down to roughly 18 inches. And that's just cleaning up the top, taking stuff off. They bloom on new wood, so next year's growth. And what you can see already up and down these stems, you'll see little buds. Those will rebud in the spring. So butterfly bushes can be a little tricky wintering over. And that's why if you want, you can wrap a butterfly bush too. That'll help protect it a little bit more. There we go. So then what you do in the spring, when you see some of this wood may not survive the winter. And what you do then in the spring, you'll go down and cut out any of the dead wood that is not starting to leaf out. It'll start leafing out right at the base and grow up fresh every year. So you don't have to worry too much about this top not surviving the winter. So like I said, usually about 18 inches and then clean it up in the spring. Next, I'm going to take you over to the hibiscus. This is a perennial hibiscus. Now this guy's been in a long time. That's why he's the size he is. He's a big double dinner plate size pink. Perennial hibiscus come up from the root. They don't branch off these stems. So you can take a perennial hibiscus right down to about 6 inches. Now, what you can see here, this is all last year's growth, the brown ones, and the green ones are all new this year's growth. So see how the green is all coming out of the ground way below. It's not coming off of these brown ones. So you just take the whole thing down to about 6 inches. Now, I usually do 6 inches. You can go right to the ground, but this one's not, you can't go wrong here because he's so big. But I have some at home that are much smaller and newer, and I always leave the woody stems standing up because then I know where he is. Because the perennial hibiscus is one of the last perennials to come out of the ground in the spring. Like, we're usually planting all the annuals when you start seeing green shoots coming out of the ground. So he's very late coming along. Okay, so we move on to the next one. This is a hosta. You can look at this different ways too. They usually break right down to the ground, and then you can clean them up in the spring, or you can clean them up now. These are the old flower stalks, which should have taken out long before this. But I'm just gonna trim this down. You just cut them all off. Clean them up that way and just leave a little bit of this. Now, most of this is all going to go to mush and drop down to the ground, and it's not too much cleanup in the spring because the hostas, again, all come up from the ground, out from the root. So that's what you can do there. This one here beside me is a daylily. Again, you've still got green growth here, so it's not crucial. Some daylilies, different varieties, yellow down real early, and you can clean them up. This guy is still green, so you could leave him a little bit longer. But again, you do the same as the hosta. when you go to clean them up, you just take them down to this far, and then you can clean up with this little bit of mushy stuff in the spring. It's a lot easier to clean up then. Okay, we're gonna go over to another garden here. This is Echinacea. Again, he's dropping seeds like crazy here. You can clean this up right now, cut them right off at ground level and get rid of the debris. But one thing, I'm kind of like doing this too. I leave these up sometimes because all these seeds the birds love. So that gives them something to forage on. And then you can clean it up in the spring. This one actually had some late blooms here. This one's still got to ripen yet. But you can clean this up in the spring and it doesn't hurt it at all. Over here, I have a Russian sage. This is another one that people have trouble with, the same as the burning bush. Again, you take him down 12 to 18 inches. Just to that, and then see the buds are all already there for next year already. They're already on the stems. So what will happen with him is I'll come back in the spring if any of this top growth has died and just take it down to the new growth. I usually wait till it all starts to flush out a little bit and then go through and clean it up. Okay. This one here is Dianthus. He's usually pretty cold hardy. So there'll be green growth here showing most of the winter. So I'm just going to go through and clean them up, not cut them back too far. Just take out some of these old seed heads and just clean them up a little bit. And then again in the spring, when we come out here, and I'll clean them up even more if there's any more dead or debris going on here. Okay, I think that's it for perennials. Most perennials you treat pretty much the same way. You cut them down in the fall or first thing in the spring. There again, it depends on your climate, where you are, what you have time to do. I usually like in these gardens to clean up as much as we can right now, because once the spring hits in the garden center, we're a little busy. So I try and get things cleaned up as best I can. At home, I let things go a little bit longer. Sometimes I do most of my cleanup in the spring at home. So it all depends what you have time to do. Anyway, see, everybody's different and everybody's garden is different in different locations. So just go with it and give us a phone call, and if you have any questions, and we'll see what we can do for you. Thank you.